Awesome. You must have gone to the concert. They were just here last Friday. I was there.
Who was it?
Def Leppard.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I should know.
They were
'cause
with Poison.
Okay, that's right.
And
I saw.
Tesla.
Okay.
It was a great concert. I was in nosebleed section, second from the end. I was like, oh, this is
How did
not
they
my
look?
favorite
How did they
spot.
sound? Because they're like a
Great.
big 80s rocker. So
Oh my
those guys got to be
gosh.
in there.
Well, the bigger question is, how did you wear your hair?
You know, I didn't have
Yeah.
time to rat it out or crimp it, and I would have.
Or get out the
but
Aquanet.
Yes.
So are you an 80s girl then too, Lisa?
of
All
course.
right.
Were you at the concert?
No.
Oh.
But she was an 80s girl. That's what I said. I had a lot
Yeah.
of my friends from high school. I
Yeah.
was more the Cyndi Lauper, Madonna. I mean, go figure, right?
I can see that.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? You didn't
Little
take me
bit.
for like a Poison Tesla girl?
I liked
Yeah,
them,
not so
and then I
much.
also liked I was a little punk rocker when I was in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
I
I did too. I
digress.
was a little
Okay.
rebel. I had like
Did you wear bandanas tied around your...
No, I did not, but
No?
I safety pinned the bottom
Of
of,
course we
my pants
did.
to make them,
Yes,
you
we
know,
did.
tight.
Tie it around the
Yep.
ankles,
And I
yeah.
had white ratted out hair as big as I could get
I know.
it.
That's why I said I still wear my hair big. Like I can't help it. Like people, I'm still in the 80s. I love my big hair. I don't care. I may be out of fashion, out of
Well,
style.
you look fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't care.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm going to still
You
wear
look
the
great.
big hair and
I love
everything
it.
like that. But
So we're here with Lisa Horn with Veep, and she's going to talk with us. On our break before we started the show, we were talking about how Richfield, the community kind of stepped in with that apartment building. I thought that was a really, really cool story. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, there's an apartment building in Richfield that was going up for sale, and there was a for-profit developer that was interested in buying the apartment complex, but it's a low-income apartment complex. And generally, the trend is that for-profit developers come in and redevelop that property, but then turn it into a higher, like a market rate apartment complex where the rents are higher and people are displaced because they can no longer afford the rents there.
I think it's got to be hard for people that are living in poverty to find homes because rents are insane, just like housing prices are going up. Rents are also going up.
The average rent is $1,000 a month.
Wow.
For,
so what happened then with this complex then?
So the city of Richfield, kudos to the city leaders there, the elected officials, the council members. They stepped in, as well as the school district and organizations like Veep and CAPSH and other nonprofit groups who work with people every day who struggle with financial instability. And we know that for every 78 low-income rental units in the Twin Cities, there's 100 people looking for them. And so we know there's an availability crisis in the Twin Cities metro. And so we contacted sort of en masse the owner of the property, and because there was a nonprofit developer who had a purchase agreement or an offer on the table that was equal to the for-profit developer. And many people contacted the property owner and said, would you please, here's our crisis, would you please consider the nonprofit developer? And he in fact did. And a purchase agreement was signed by between Aon and the property owner. And Aon is a nonprofit developer that keeps affordable housing available in the Twin Cities area.
That's awesome. That's great. So they were able to, so most of the people then that were renting there were able to stay in those buildings. I mean, so it wasn't a building that was taken down. It was just the owner decided he wanted to sell it.
Correct.
Okay. And I think, too, just kind of a question that comes to mind, I think, or maybe when listeners are asking about when you say like financial instability and so forth. So these are people, it's not free housing. It's more they just maybe have fallen on some hardships or maybe just jobs availability for jobs and their skill level kind of things. Is
Right.
that what?
Well, if you think about communities like Richfield or Bloomington, there's what we call naturally occurring affordable housing. These are the older apartment complexes that do not have the amenities of some of the, moderate or higher end apartment complexes, but they remain affordable. They're $600 or $700 around in there, right? And people can afford that. If I can explain the clients that or our neighbors that come to Veep, about 77% of our households, we'll say, who come to Veep live on $19,200 a year or less.
Wow.
Wow.
That's $1,600 a month. And if you think about an average rent being $1,000, you can see where having rent that's $600 to $700 is much different in terms of meeting their basic needs than
Right.
$1,000 a month, right?
Right.
And so our goal at Veep is to provide supports and services that help meet those other needs so that they can work on focusing on their rent. So I have a question for you both.
Of course.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, maybe specifically for you. If somebody comes to you looking for money to buy a house, what are you looking at in terms of a percentage of their housing costs to income?
So they're typically like their housing ratio, we want to see it right around that 30% mark. We can absolutely go higher. Sometimes it's depending on a situation. We can get exceptions, but we look at a housing ratio, but then we also look at overall debt ratio as well. But there is a lot of, that's why we say sometimes with rents, if people are paying $1,300 in rent, gosh, that's a mortgage payment,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of down payment assistance programs and, even veterans, military, I mean, they're 100% financing. There's no money down required if you are a veteran. So that's typically what we look at is 35% housing ratio is typically about the highest that we would want to go. Because again, it's responsible lending. It's fair and responsible lending. We do not want to put people in houses that they cannot afford. And that's something we have to explain to customers all the time when they want to go out and they want to find these houses and it's 300, 400,000 and they don't qualify for that. And, they think that they can make that payment because they're making something similar to it now or, well, this is going to change and that's going to change. And
But
it's
what's
like,
going to happen down the road that could impact
right.
your
What if
ability
you,
to
yeah,
pay?
well, like you said, and that's kind of was my question or thought to you, Lisa, was, how do these people maybe get in these situations? Sometimes it is, maybe it's just lack of jobs or education or skill or something like that. But also, I mean, we've seen people in the foreclosure crisis. I mean, jobs, loss of job or medical or industry. I mean, talking to somebody yesterday that was in car sales. I mean, he was making a good living and he's, purposely said, when I bought my house, I bought less because I needed to have a budget. And sure enough, in 2 years, when the market crashed and everything, car sales were going down, he was happy that he was
He's
prepared.
potentially a client of Veep or
Right.
an organization like Veep. Well,
Yeah,
I asked that question because for our clients at that income level, they're paying at about 67% of their monthly income on housing costs.
Wow.
And so at Veep, we provide supportive services, kind of wraparound services to help alleviate the budget so that
Okay.
they can focus their income and prioritize that toward their housing costs. And so we have one of the largest food shelves in the state of Minnesota, about 120,000 distribution contact points. So that means 120,000 individuals, but that's a duplicated number. That means somebody might visit the food pantry 3 times a year and they're counted 3 times in that number.
Well, just looking at this, so this information that you provided for us, this is staggering. I mean, I'm a fresh produce. My grandpa was a truck farmer, so 1.8 million pounds of fresh produce. I don't even know this number. Let's see,
0.4.
3.4 million.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, I
there
won't
you
say all
go.
those numbers. I don't know how to. 3,427,006. 3.4 million. Let's just go with that. Okay, pounds of healthy food distributed, and then just as you were talking about, 110. Well, almost 111,000 visits to Veep's food pantry.
Well, and I
So-
see here that 57% of your client households have children.
That's correct.
And I see here the Student Hunger Collaborative as well. What is that?
So the Student Hunger Collaborative is a partnership that formed out of a relationship that we have with area Rotary clubs. And they had some funding that was available at both the local Rotary and district and foundation level and said, we want to do something to help support kids. And so we developed a partnership with the area school districts, recognizing that the school recognizes that kids have hunger needs. And so we provide food packs on Fridays for families and children. They go home with the kids. The school identifies those kids, distributes those packs confidentially to the kids, and then it's healthy food that bridges their hunger needs over the weekend so that kids can come back to school on Monday ready to learn. So we're in 13 schools in partnership with each of the school districts and the Rotary
You know what? And
clubs.
that's amazing.
That's
And
really-
I never knew. I mean, I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews, and fortunately, they're in good financial situations. But I had never ever even thought about that or knew that was an issue. And we had partnered at Wells Fargo with an organization called Good in the Hood.
They're in Bloomington. They're a
yeah.
peer of ours, right?
Yeah, awesome organization. We had so much fun. My team, we rallied around getting shoes. But then as I was talking to the program director, he was telling me about this. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Kids are getting their school lunches. But what happens on Saturdays and Sundays when they don't have that or can't afford it and so forth? So,
And
yeah,
I see in the summer you do that as well.
Yeah, we have extra food for families in the summertime, so they have additional supplemental visits in the summertime for families who have children.
well, we can even maybe talk more
Incredible.
about that because I always
Yeah.
thinking I was, obviously VEEP volunteers is the key word there.
Yep.
And I always tell people our organization, Wells Fargo, we've got 60,000 plus team members in the Twin Cities, and we're always looking for opportunities to volunteer in the communities, that we have our
Well,
banks
we
and
need to
locations.
talk about donate and do.
So, yeah, absolutely. So it's so great. Good information, Lisa,
Yeah,
with
thanks,
Veep.
Lisa. We're gonna-
And
we'll hear
we'll talk more
when
about
we-
it. Yeah, on the next break. I'm Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo.
And I'm Dawn Eldridge with Remax Results, and Jason Stockwell is joining us.
All right. And Lisa, do you
Horn
want to
with
get,
Veep.
yeah, Lisa Horn with Veep.